Okay, today is Vermont. Put them on the board, MK. The Pigman of Vermont. We'll be right back. The Legend of the Pigman of Northfield. 1951. Northfield, Vermont. On Halloween Eve, a 17-year-old boy named Sam Harris left his home alone with a basket of eggs. His basket of eggs were for the purpose of causing trouble by throwing eggs at houses, vehicles, and even other people. Sam was on his way to join in a night of mischief known as Picket Night that occurred every year on All Hallows Eve. However, after his night of mischief, when his parents woke, they realized he had never returned home. The next day, his parents, the police, and volunteers from the town formed search parties and performed an exhaustive search involving hundreds of people spanning several weeks and totaling hundreds of square miles, but he or his body were never found. According to townsfolk and friends that knew Sam Harris, the boy was known to be cruel to animals and enjoyed slaughtering pigs and feasting on their insides. In addition, a few people reported that Sam would hollow out the heads of the slaughtered pigs and make them into masks, which he would then wear. Reportedly, Sam also liked to scare town locals by jumping out of hidden areas while wearing homemade pig masks. An additional claim states that Sam would have intercourse with the pigs. Several theories exist on what happened to Sam Harris that night. One theory is that Sam became possessed by the devil and was thereby transformed into a half-man, half-pig monster, the Pigman, that would continue to stalk the citizens of Northfield. A second theory is that the Pigman already existed, and Sam Harris was merely a victim of the Pigman's reign of terror over the town of Northfield. An additional theory is that Sam Harris was a misguided loner who became a troubled, demented hermit living in the caves of the Devil's Washbowl near Northfield after the death of his parents. After multiple sightings of the Pigman, locals explored the caves of the Washbowl and found scattered bones of various animals, particularly those of pigs, in one of the caves. A common description of the Pigman is that he is covered in white hair and has the face of a pig. However, as stated, it is unknown if the Pigman is Sam Harris or if the Pigman ate Sam Harris. 1949. Upon reaching the Devil's Washbowl, researchers met an old man who claimed to have been a friend of Sam Harris and knew him before the devil turned him into a pigman. Investigators came in 1985, and the old man told them a story about what happened in 1949. He explained that he had dinner with Sam Harris and his parents, which does not present Sam's parents in a very positive light. He claims that Mr. Harris piled large amounts of pork onto Mrs. Harris's plate, while she continued to stuff her mouth full of pork, and he continued to add more pork to her plate. The man goes on to explain that she was vomiting out of the sides of her mouth while continuing to shove pork into her mouth, while also laughing and gagging at the same time. A teenager at that time, the old man explained he was so disgusted that he ran out of the Harris' house, ran all the way home, and was never able to eat pork again after that day. 1950. The old man also told investigators a second story about what he and a friend witnessed while walking up behind the Harris' farm on the way to go hunting for the weekend. He states that as they looked down at the farm, they saw Mr. Harris mounting and stabbing a large pig while apparently fornicating with it. 1952. A former teacher at Sam Harris was quoted as saying, "Sam was a good boy and not a pigman." She went missing and was found 2 years later dismembered with the words "Picket Night" carved into her skull. 1954. The old man reported to investigators that after Sam's disappearance, Mr. Harris had a heart attack, as Sam was seen by Sam's mother, Linda Harris, dragging pig organs across the porch of her home. She claimed that he left the organs on the porch like a pet leaves a kill for its owner. She stated that her son had wild eyes and a high-pitched squeal like a pig as he jumped up and down, pointing at the organs on the ground with his bloody hands. 2 weeks later, Mrs. Harris was eaten alive at the pig farm. One theory is that she purposely jumped into a pen full of ravenous pigs. Another theory states that Sam threw his mother into the pen. A third theory believes she went to save her son and was attacked by the pigs and killed. This led to locals killing all the pigs on the pig farm. It is believed that This enraged the Pigman and led to the death of 3 people and hundreds of local animals. 1971, the Pigman returns. One night during a school dance, a few teenagers snuck outside the school to drink alcohol in the sandpit and claimed to have seen the Pigman walking out of the woods. They report that he was naked, covered in white hair, and he was either wearing a hollowed-out pig's head or actually had the head of a pig. The frightened teenagers ran back into the gymnasium to tell their story. Eventually, some people went outside, only to find half-empty beer cans and no creature. A farmer also reported a similar figure digging through his trash one night, while others reported several pigs going missing around the same time. In addition, a boy from the town also went missing at the same time and was never found. During these sightings in 1971 is when the people started to speculate on the Pigman's origin. Was he a true cryptid? Was it Sam Harris? Was it a demonic creature? Or was it a deranged man terrorizing the town, killing livestock, and even killing people? None of these answers were to be found. The only answers they did have is that the Pigman was not afraid of people, and it really liked eating meat. In 1981, the Pigman lives. Returning to the Devil's Wash Bowl, more sightings of the Pigman occurred, particularly near the Cave of Animal Bones, which came to be known as the Lair of the Pigman. During this time, many teenagers would go to the Devil's Wash Bowl at night to try to get a glimpse of the Pigman. However, as a group of teenagers found out in 1981, this was a very bad idea. A group of high school seniors chose to have a camping trip in the caves of the Devil's Wash Bowl. This group was comprised of 3 or 4 couples, depending on who was telling the story. Each couple stayed in a separate cave to increase their chance of spotting the Pigman. As one couple was setting up in a cave, rolling out their sleeping bags, and trying to start a fire, they heard screaming coming from one of the other caves. They rushed into the other cave to find the girl curled up in a ball, crying in the far corner of the cave, and her boyfriend was missing. The girl explained that the Pigman came into the cave, unfazed by their presence. So her boyfriend started shouting at the Pigman, hoping not only to scare it away, but also to get the attention of the other campers. The Pigman then grabbed a large rock, struck the boy on the head, threw him over his shoulder, and carried him out of the cave, right before the others arrived on the scene. They found the rock still in the cave covered in the boy's blood, and footprints of bare feet in the mud outside the cave. The girls ran to the car to get to the police and tell them what happened. Meanwhile, the remaining boys went to search for their friend and the Pigman with their flashlights and makeshift weapons, following the bare footprints until they disappeared at the edge of the road. The police set up search parties, including canine units, but the boy was never found. However, some of the boy's clothes were later found by one of the search dogs, torn and scattered in an abandoned farmhouse in the next town. After this, the boy's photo was put up all over the area, and eventually one man came forward. He stated that someone was lurking around outside his house and digging through his garbage. The person was only wearing a faded, ripped pair of jeans. However, when he turned on his porch light to get a closer look, the intruder matched the description of the boy in the photos, except that his body was now covered in white hair and his eyes looked hollow. Before the man had time to react, the intruder disappeared back into the wooded area near the man's home. Even to this day, there are occasional sightings of the Pigman, but to date, there is no photographic or video evidence of his presence. This leads us to speculate, who was the Pigman? If he still exists, who is the Pigman? Was there more than one Pigman? We may never know. So if you venture out into the Devil's Wash Bowl near Northfield, Vermont, beware and keep an eye out for the Pigman. See you next time, folks.